Have you figured out where you want to cut yet, and specific amounts? And will this be incremental, or will it be kind of piecemeal?
Sure. Well, we're working on that. There's a procedure we have to follow and a sequence of events we have to follow, starting with the Commissioner of Finance declaring the circumstances exist to allow unallotment.
Which
That's occurred.
Done. Mm-hmm.
So now we're working on the plans around unallotment. We'll probably announce those in a week or two. And the categories are going to be those categories that the federal government will allow us to impact. And in the end, what we're going to be saying to the people of Minnesota is we think in these economic times it's reasonable for your state government, our state government, to live on 96 or 97% of the revenues that it's living on currently. Most other families, most other small businesses, most other enterprises in our state are doing that, having to tighten their belts and live on a little less for a little while. We're going to ask state government to do the same. Now, when you get into the individual programs, of course, it gets more difficult, but that's basically our goal, to slow down, reduce state spending by about that amount. And I think most Minnesotans are saying, of course, it's the worst economic recession since World War II. The state's going to have to tighten its belt. In terms of areas, that's going to mean some reductions in most areas that we have. There'll be some aids to local units of government, some trimming in higher ed, some trimming in state government bureaucracy, some trimming in other areas, health and human services, welfare, publicly subsidized health care. There'll be some trimming in each of those areas and more.
So, Governor, then would your preferred choice be to phase these cuts in slowly, or do you want to have most of this $3 billion in cuts take effect almost immediately in this trimming form that
It'll
you just
be a
discussed?
mix, and so to the extent possible, we're going to try to have these be in the second year of the two-year budget cycle, so people can have fair notice about the impact that's coming up. Also, there'll be another legislative session between now and then. So if the legislature chooses to change or amend what we're doing, they'll have at least a chance to do that. But we're not going to be able to do that in every case, Julie. There's going to have to be some of these reductions made right away because of the nature of the way the money gets sent out the door and the schedule. But to the extent possible, we'll have it be in the second year.
I want to go back. When you also announced that you weren't going to seek a third term, you said that one regret that you had was perhaps the approach you took when finalizing budget negotiations with the DFL back in 2003. So now that you've chosen the unallotment route, do you perhaps see maybe regretting this down the road as well, because it could change the way future governors negotiate?
Well, I don't, in the sense that the legislature realized that there's going to be circumstances where the governor needs to do this, and they have granted this power or this opportunity or authority to the governor. So it was the legislature themselves, in conjunction with the governor, who decided this should be an option that's available to governors if you get into a crunch situation, and that's what we're in. So, this has been litigated before, and the courts at Minnesota Supreme Court have said the legislature granted the governor this authority.